about ISIS and Daesh, that again they are defeated territorially. They are resilient. We know they're still dangerous. They still pose a danger to Iraq and Syria and to the rest of the world. We know that, and we're going to continue. We're committed to fighting them in Iraq and in Syria, and to defeat them and any remnant. So, we understand that even though they don't own territory, they're still dangerous, and we're going to keep at them, and that's our commitment. So, but militarily, again, our mission, by the invitation of the government of Iraq and by that UN resolution, is to defeat Daesh in designated parts of Syria and Iraq, and we're committed to doing it, and that's what we're going to do every day. We do that, and the ISF and the Peshmerga and the SDF and our 83 partners in this coalition, they do a great job. We haven't been given any other orders, not to. Again, our charter is to defeat Daesh and its remnants. So we'll keep on doing that. Again, we don't make those decisions. We just execute. Those decisions are policy decisions that are going to be made amongst countries and politicians, whether that mission continues. We just execute, and that's what we do on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we started 6 years ago. We've had several phases, and we've defeated Daesh a couple of years ago territorially, and I'll get into that in a minute. Now we're partnering with the ISF and the SDF and some other partner nations, and we're trying to create stability here in this region. And then eventually, I don't know when, eventually the ISF completely takes over the mission. So what we do is the United States and the coalition, we continue to work by, with, and through our local partners, notably the Syrian Democratic Forces, and towards our shared goal of ensuring the enduring defeat of Daesh. And I'll say a couple of things about the SDF. They fought bravely to liberate vast stretches of their country from Daesh control, and we salute their heroism and their sacrifice. Right now, in northeast Syria, we have approximately 900 U.S. Service members there, and they're currently supporting the defeat Daesh mission in Syria, and they're working in conjunction with those vetted local forces in northeast Syria and at ATG. And those troop numbers, they're conditions based. They go up, they go down, because it wasn't too long ago that we sent in Bradleys into northeast Syria, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Armored Division. So troop numbers went up, all right? So it's based on the conditions on the ground, all right? And we're there in Syria for one thing, and that's to secure the enduring defeat of Daesh. Now, the fight against Daesh continues, and both in Syria and Iraq, they are defeated in the field. And at one point, they had about 110,000 square kilometers of territory. That's the size of Virginia, right? They had control over 8 million people, population of Sweden. Today, they have no territory. They control no one. When I was here 5 years ago, they had all these victories in Raqqa, in Fallujah, in Mosul, in Ramadi, and they control a bunch of territory. Today, no territory. And, they may be defeated on the battlefield, but their ideology, they're very resilient, and that ideology remains. And that hate that still resonates among some of the aggrieved and radicalized people, both within the Middle East and further abroad. So what CJTF OIR will continue to do is partner with all these forces and strike at the terrorists. And it reflects like a worldwide unity to see this enduring defeat delivered against Daesh. So what Daesh does right now, instead of having all this territory, they're working at as like an insurgency right now, all right? And their activities are focused on like reestablishing networks, assassinating and intimidating local leaders and security forces and trying to extend their influences in rural areas. So that's what they've been left to, because at one point there was like 40,000 Daesh members about 5-6 years ago. I think the UN now estimates that there may be 10,000 there. They are resilient, but they don't own any territory. So now they're just into an insurgency and IEDs and some indirect fire, or just being like criminals and having these networks and assassinating sheikhs, etc. And that recently they assassinated a sheikh and they booby-trapped the sheikh's body, and his sons came in there and they tried to like get the body, and there was an IED or something in there, and it killed 4 sons. So that caused a lot of problem. I think it may have been in Diyala province. I can't remember exactly, but that's the kind of stuff they're lowered to now. The battle is not over with them, because, again, that ideology remains. I can't tell you how long it's going to be around. I can say that we're going to keep on fighting them, and the coalition is committed to helping out Iraq and designated portions of Syria to defeat any remnants of Daesh. That's our commitment. Well, again, we're partners with the ISF and the Peshmerga, so we work together. And the coalition and the U.S., we don't have any coalition or U.S. bases in Iraq. They're all owned by the ISF. So when Daesh or outlaw groups or any other malign groups, when they launch indirect fire or IEDs, they're hitting and killing Iraqis and Iraqi bases. So the U.S. and the coalition, it's not like it was like an Iraqi freedom where you had U.S. soldiers constantly on patrol in their Humvees and their MRAPs. They're on the corners directing traffic, doing all that kind of stuff. That's not OIR is not OIF. So we're not out there. We're advising, we're planning, we're coordinating, we're using air power to help out the ISF. So, we have rules of engagement, and the coalition is going to protect itself. We do that. But we have all the confidence in the world with the Peshmerga and the ISF to work together for any malign group that's trying to cause harm to us. And this year alone, the U.S. or the coalition has left 8 bases and given them back to the ISF. Again, the ISF is doing their own training. They're training themselves. First thing I want to say is that the U.S. and the coalition does not operate any detainee facility or IDP camp in Syria. They're all run by the SDF. Okay? Now, we do provide a range of support to help in the SDF to detain these Daesh fighters securely and humanely, all right? And that support includes support to repair and renovate detainee facilities, et cetera. So we also continue to evaluate the situation in Syria and work by, with, and through our SDF partners to identify any further requirements for detainee security. But again, the SDF runs those camps, the detention facilities, and the IDP camps, and we do offer some support to them.